Welcome back to more Auction Not Included for our beginner's guide. So, last episode we kind of went over space materials, working with supercoolant, why you're probably going to want that for most playthroughs, and why hydrogen's kind of overrated and annoying to work with. Since then, we've had a couple cycles, mostly just to get all our rockets kind of restocked and get our materials for our colonization project. Just get a couple of late things going. You may notice two things. No, we did not consume 24 million calories since the last video. I moved our freezer over just so I could get access to a micro musher again, and then I set it up to just always have 100,000 kilocalories of berry sludge on hand. However, in doing that, thing I didn't catch when doing it is whenever I moved it, I did not adjust for this line or deep freeze, couldn't get down, and a lot of food rotted on us. Also, you may notice that we are running super coolant through here to help cool. I tried to be smart and put a lot of hydrogen gas in here for thermal temp, but as a result, the regulator couldn't keep up. So just be careful if you do move your deep freeze. Just took advantage of the old aqua tuner, and I think I mentioned ages ago, like, you could do a deep freeze with an aqua tuner. You mostly just need crude oil or just something that can get to like minus 30. Reason super coolant because we got it. Besides that, there to kind of help with getting our micro musher going, I threw down another set of bristle blossoms. Although I realized the flaw, I'm not going to keep that many raw bristle blossoms on hand because we just have it set here to make gristleberry forever. But anyway, the goals for today is one, we're going to start getting some of our imperatives done, mainly Home Sweet Home and The Great Escape. And then we'll go over Cosmic Archaeology next episode. But for this one here, Home Sweet Home we could have done for a while. Is mostly working through the research to get to the Great Monument. But the Home Sweet Home is kind of your good metric of building a colony. Because you need to get 12 duplicates, you need to maintain reasonably good morale, and survive 200 cycles. It's a good metric of if you have everything going stable, you can get Home Sweet Home done. If you want a better kind of metric to base your colony and plan around, I would aim for no place like Clone, and kind of plan your colony of, I'm going to have 20 duplicates living in the colony at one time. Just because that's an achievement. Some people like to use achievement for metrics, but 12 to 20 dupes is probably the end goal of what to build around. I've settled on the 28 of the 4 on Grisona and the 24 in the main base. But besides, their morale mostly pushes you to get good food, use the rooms, and then you just have to build a monument, which is mostly just getting through the research. Besides that, there, the other one, and what a lot of people kind of base on the how to win the game, because it is the original kind of metric, if you're not playing Spaced Out, is the Great Escape. So we need to land on 5 asteroids and put mini pods there, which we have done. We're in the process of opening the Temporal Tear. I'm just waiting for a colonization rocket to get there. Just that will take a while, as we've seen. It takes about 100 cycles if all you got is Wheezewort. But that is fine. It's a planet you want to go to anyway. And then we want to breach the Tear, which is what we're saving this print for. Speed this up. Besides that, there, I have added tubes up here to help with some shipping. Fix our payload opener. And then I also just put another aqua tuner in here to kind of chill all our stuff by the base. And some solid rocket port loaders to help with unloading the ships. So first thing we want to do is do this now just because we're going to do a reload. So I'm going to print this Eduardo. Eduardo is going to have one job. Doesn't really matter what his schedule is. That's what we're building this other rocket for. But we're going to print him out. So what I want to do now, I'm going to make a save now. So before I even go to try and fix and start working here, we're going to fire the Temporal Tear. Yep. So once the tear charge, you're going to get this notification for, are you sure you want to fire this? Yes, I'm ready for a meteor shower. And the reason why is we fire this, we open the tear. This out. And this is going to start a meteor shower here. Get down here. And this is going to summon fullerene meteors. So the thing with these, this meteor shower basically lasts until you reload your game. So it is a way to get fullerene. You can abuse this if you want to set like tons of meteor systems and stuff. The easy way to deal with it is we're just going to save our game. Wait for our game to save. Saving and loading do take a little bit once you kind of get into the late game. And then we're just going to load again. This will limit our damage. It's why we kind of... There's no point fixing our stuff, because depending on where the meteors go, this may destroy a lot of stuff. But this will limit how many meteors you have to deal with here. Fortunately, we did lose our Weezwort there, but we're not going to be using this long term. But yeah, you can see fullerene does a lot of damage. So over here, we're just going to disable the auto repairs on all of these. This is probably getting deconstructed long term. This stuff I do want to rebuild. Conveniently, we can still use ladders when they're broken. We'll rebuild our solar panels. I don't think it's that big of a deal. So they're going to get that rebuilt. But now that we have run that, the Temporal Tear is open. So now what we need to do is we need to send a dupe through. And in Spaced Out, you cannot cheese this. If we were playing base and we had the bionics, you can, if you don't want to send a dupe through, send a rocket with a robopilot module. My bad there. We're going to be doing some stuff to kind of fix that issue for the other rocket we're going to be building here. That's fine. Everything here is good. So we need to make one-way trip. So we got to get 9 tiles. So we're only getting 9 tiles. We only need 1 large fuel tank. We'll use a small solid oxidizer. And I'm not worried about anything else for our unfortunate dupe we're sending. Am going to use a Spacefarer module just to help line up everything. Because the thing with the rockets, I kind of designed them that everything's in line. We could just use a solo nose cone, and then we're just going to put a basic nose cone. We'll up these all at 6, so... You know, so a lot of my construction I put up to 6, and it's just because we don't have that. We have a lot of jobs and not many dupes. Now we're just waiting for this stuff to all kind of get repaired. Up here, Meat probably got hit by a meteor. Did I not put glass on this rocket? No, I didn't. Okay. Not like we use our solar panels for anything. So... trying to run through my head of everything I need to have here later. I need an aqua tuner, but I need it over on this side. We'll have them working on that while we just try to get this built. And then... have our rocket, the sacrificial lamb. I don't really care what else I put in here, other than we'll need some oxygen. I think for the purpose of doing that, we're not making a very nice rocket. And you don't need to make a nice rocket for this. Gotta get bins so they move it, and then another bin here. Okay. And get rid of most of this stuff. And the other thing we need to do here is we need to update kind of how our rocket platform works. We don't need this power anymore. So the reason why is because we're going to want a bunch of rocket port loaders. I like to go with 3. And then we gotta move our door and such. Don't have any obsidian. Probably also going to change how our access point works, but we'll get this all built for now. We'll build this eventually. Set you to oxalate with a 6. Yeah, small air oxalate, that's really slowing a lot of our production. there. Everything else has been working pretty well. Our petroleum boiler's still working good. We still got a lot of material in here. We'll see once the volcano kind of gets going. Lots of slicksters. We did have some issues with molten slickster getting into here. We may need to dig down into this to fix it. Just because that little blob annoys me. This ladder. Get some ladders there. These to 6s. Just to build a bit faster while we work on this. Yeah. Reachable storage. Shouldn't be, but definitely don't want to build that out of granite. That as obsidian. I'll probably have to take that out later. Alright. So we don't need a lot of oxalite. Dr. K. Not a sweep only. And I want go power banks. And this is part of the reason it may have changed since I last did it. But power banks, last time I worked with them, were very weird in how they worked. How much do they weigh? Eco power bank. Doesn't tell me. Trying to just think, how much do eco power banks weigh? Doesn't tell me. Well, let's do it this way. Eco power bank. Properties. Okay, each of them weighs 20 kgs. So, actually, we don't even need eco power banks. I want my metal. We'll just put all our metal power banks into here, because we got quite a few of them. Or we should have enough. All right, we got everything over here. Once again, we're going to get some igneous tiles here. We have this also set to grounded. Do not put eco power banks in here. And we definitely need to change our wiring here. Probably more stuff we'll need to fix long term. But I still want to make sure our battery is getting charged, because I don't want to set up so that a dupe is here constantly, but we are going to need to do rocket shipping if we want to get the max amount of iron here. That's kind of the problem we're looking to solve, because I want to get all the volcanoes going for the last couple of things we're going to aim for on this kind of guide slash playthrough. Just notice the polluted's getting in a hand here. Is it because this is... Oh, it's connected to stuff. Slow on moving it out. Because it's 10 tons, the pressure is very high. Law I realized on this rocket. Hopefully we don't have to come back here and fix this. This would be unfortunate planning on my part. The CO2 is getting stuck up there. Because I forgot to put the mesh tiles here. Okay, we likely have enough stuff for our one unlucky dupe here. So if we did do a bionic, we have to get rocketry. Even if we use a regular dupe, we could still get rocketry. We do need a pilot booster. That's why it's getting a hand, is because filtration mediums aren't getting filled. Like, slow to go. They'll get it fixed eventually. Okay, there we go. All our stuff there. Alright, and there's our pilot modules. Let's make a save. And we're going to send Eduardo on a one-way trip to the Temporal Tear. Like, the only thing we really need in our rocket is enough oxygen and food until they make it there. Nine and 0. How is that so low? To wait for our fuel. Down to 6. Okay. Okay, and all our power is kind of good here now. The main things we got to add here is just working out our shipping, how to easily automate getting this iron off the planet. So, are going to need some infrastructure up here. So let's get a new aqua tuner over here. So let's deconstruct this turbine as well. All this automation. Also just deconstruct all this plumbing before it complains at me about breaking. Get this power wire back. Give them something to do. Thought I had more oxalate to make this a bit of a faster process. Producing as fast as it can. We had a lot of rockets we need to spin up. Yes, it's the thing with these. Like, these bins definitely don't need the full 20 tons. More of a safety thing. Same with the amount of berry sludge they have. I'm moving through our old grubfruit preserve. Just we're not going to gain on mixed berry pie, I don't think, because my math is pretty much set up for this exact amount of dupes as long as they're here. Wait, flaw there. Oh, that temp shift finally melted. Oh, that would have helped a while ago. Just waiting for this oxidizer to get filled. Don't like when they drop stuff. Keep up that eco battery. Yeah, because oxalate won't off-gas while they're holding it. It's true for any oxidizer. But it will as soon as they drop it. But due to the math on petroleum, I need this, basically this whole thing filled to hit the 9 tiles. Suppose I can get rid of that tile too. Actually, I just dig this out because we lost our Weezewort. There we go. So we can get to our 10. Let's take a look inside that. We got a set of batteries. We got enough oxalate here. So now let's make a save again, because we don't want to lose Eduardo before they make it to the tear. Find Eduardo. Summoner crew. Yeah, so we're going to get the warnings, because this is a one-way trip. 2.8 cycles, so they'll be good to get there. They are also in their suit, and they had a fair amount of power. All right. Next thing. Do have a fair amount of rail we can get back. About there. All right, so while that's going, let's figure out how are we going to get our iron off this planet. So we're going to use the shipping rocket. That's the name of our shipping rocket here. So we want to set it up that we're only going to go there if there is 27 tons of cargo for us to pick up. The easiest way to do that is going to be using smart storage bins. Because each will hold 20, so we set 1 to 20 and 1 to 7, then use an AND gate. That can send a message that, hey, we can send a rocket now. So we're gonna need 2 bins there. And then I guess right about here we'll put our steam turbine. Because once we get everything to the bins, we're going to need to unload them and then put them in to these rocket port loaders, which we're going to use with auto sweepers and conveyor loaders. But we're going to want a way to cool them. Actually, I'm an idiot. There's a way easier way we could do this. We just set up all the systems down here where we already should have some passive cooling. Then I'll have to worry about setting up some other stuff. I do need a heavy watt join plate, though. So we're going to want them down here. And we're going to want 2 smart storage bins, a conveyor loader, a conveyor chute, and an auto sweeper. Yeah, Eduardo's not gonna have a great time. So we're going to set this to iron. Disallow manual use for a second. This one we're also going to set to iron. But we're only going to set at 7 tons. This way we know when there is 27 tons waiting to be collected. I'm also going to set our iron here. We're going to put this 1 priority higher, so this will take out of the bin. It's going to take a couple trips to kind of catch up. So then the next thing we want to add for our automation is we want to have an AND gate. Because we want to know when both bins are filled. And then what we could do is to get this signal back to our planet and try to fully automate our rockets, we could use a automation broadcaster and automation receivers. So this is how you get automation signals from one planet to another. So we could set a broadcaster here and then use the receivers to get it all the way back to here. And then we could set our automation up so that we put a signal here that'll say, hey, our rocket can launch now because there's material ready. And then launch. That would summon the crew if all the other manifests is through and launch the rocket automatically. We're gonna do a bit of that on... I don't know if we can get away with doing it on the other planet. If you do want to set automation up on your rocket platforms, you are going to want to use tungsten. Because tungsten will not get hot enough to melt, even though it's in the heat injection line. It is above kind of where that temp goes. We haven't made any at the moment. Just even with steel, where it is only 5 kilograms, it will melt almost instantly. The problem with doing that there is the automation broadcaster has a range of 5 tiles. So if we put it here, that's further than where our main planet is. So if we put a broadcaster here, our receiver's not going to pick it up on our main planet. It is set up in a way that we could go and kind of daisy chain across the planets. So we could send it to the shovel planet, which sends it to the gassy planet, which sends it to the toxic planet, which then sends it back. That'd be an option. The main reason I don't want to do that there is then I'd have to solve the problem of if I put the broadcaster here, I need to protect it from meteors on this planet. What we're going to do instead, to kind of just let us know, we're going to use a automation notifier. So that we'll just get a notification that says, hey, you can go here now. So it's a notification. Say, iron transport ready. Do that there. Then if we wanted, we could add a pause and a zoom, but we'll just go with a boing boing for now. This is the same setup we used to make sure our CO2 wasn't getting too low. Then we could add more there. And that way there, we just get a notification. I know our notifications kind of get flooded there, but we'll know when we can send a rocket. Got another triple build. Then with our shipping, may not matter for loading. Or no, I want to do it to load it faster. Is we actually want more conveyor loaders. A little more room. So I'm putting them here so we can just load faster, so we just spend less. I want to minimize the amount of time spend here. Go loader, loader, loader. And then we go storage bin, deconstruct the AND gate. And our automation would then be this instead. And then for shipping, we'll do these out of steel. This way we should be able to load at maximum speed. Our power even lined up. We're just waiting for the lamb here to say... let's have flight status. We do the same thing again. We set this to iron. And we also set this to iron. We set this one at 7 tons. Regular line. Also set these to iron. The big thing, we're going to adjust our timer to kind of get the backlog here. We have a lot of excess iron in here. Yeah, you can kind of just leave bionics in Atmo suits. Feels a bit exploity to do it, though. No, I kind of wasted our repairs. Should have disabled auto repair before I deconstructed those. Fine. Easier way to kind of set up the automated rockets would be using the Robopilot, but that would require Bionic DLC. I'm trying to avoid using a lot of DLC stuff. Like, I have Bionic dupes, and it's just because I think adding Bionic dupes doesn't change that much to... But it does kind of affect how you maybe want to build your colony. Mostly just really late game stuff that it helps with, like automating rockets. Probably don't need to build... Well, I guess I do have to build the rails out of steel. There'll always be like a little more material here than we need, but it'll kind of normalize out with travel time. There we go. Let's get this all... an eye on things. Things never get too hot. A lot of it coming out. It's going to be very hot for a while. 0.3 cycles. Keeping an eye that don't start getting overheats. Because our loader exchanges probably the most heat with stuff. Doesn't help, our volcanoes are also going to be active while we kind of get this cleared out. Alright, so we now have ulti here at the Temporal Tear. And now we shall finish our imperative. So to do it there, you will select your rocket once at the tear, and then enter the Temporal Tear. Imperative achieved. Great escape. We have always viewed the Temporal Tear as a phenomenon to fear, but like the civilizations before us, the call to adventure asks us to confront our anxiety and leap into the unknown. As a radical action of hope, I have sent enough duplicates through the Temporal Tear to start another colony, explore dimensions beyond ours, and plant the seeds of life throughout time and space. So that is that done. So, pay no attention to this rocket debris. I'm sure ulti, or Eduardo, I should say, is fine. We will get all of our stuff here, and then that will land on the closest planet. But that is the Great Escape done. I'm just waiting for some rockets to move while I do stuff. So then the other one we can get done today is we're going to get Home Sweet Home now. And the reason I like to do Home Sweet Home second is we're basically going to make a memorial to Eduardo. Let's build it here just because. So the only thing we really have to do is build the Great Monument, which is mainly you're going to need a decent chunk of ceramic, glass, diamond, obsidian, and steel. Build up here. Okay, so the thing I wanted to watch for. Hopefully you don't do too much damage. Takes a while for the heat to readjust. But it'll be a bit getting all of this out. We went down his speed. We'll let that cool down now. So build a base. Usually need just it's big enough that you're gonna need to do ladders in between. While we're waiting. And dig some stuff out. $42. Just so they got something to work on while we do this. We get our monument built. Forgot they gotta climb over the carbon. Does take a little bit of travel. Put those up to a 9 just to get it done too long into this. Do have to build them one at a time. Not like a wonder building like in the age of games where I can't put more dupes on it to build it faster. So we have about 60 tons of iron to get out of here. Let me start moving it fast again. Keep an eye if we see an overheat message. All right, there's our base. We'll customize it after. Get our midsection next. double checking I sent the correct Ed wire though. Remember, I am going to need to dig these out to vacuum seal it. Take a little bit to baby this to get everything out. But once we kind of get it cleared out back to its minimum, then everything should run a lot smoother. There's our midsection. And we just put a head on it. The legs don't look really right. Yeah, I don't know why. The legs just don't look right on the microchip. We'll do the gear bomb then. That looks a little better. Doesn't really matter what you set them as. And we just make this high priority so we can get it done this episode. Do need to check Resona every so often that this isn't locking itself. How all the CO2 got in here. You need to move into this. Get the little bits of petrol cleaned out. because they annoy me. More meat than we'll ever need. We do have all of our... Oh, there we go. Imperative achieved. Home sweet home. And it shows us all our colonies. Readjust that head. Few civilizations throughout time have had the privilege of understanding their origin. The one thing that matters is that we are here now. We make the best of the world we've been given. I'm proud to say this asteroid is our home. And there's home sweet home. And our monument is just a shrine to the memorial for Eduardo, who we sent through the Temporal Tear. That's what I like to do with the monument, is you can look it up on the wiki, all different blueprints you can use, but I like to pick one of the dupes that I can make a monument out of to send through the tear. But that's 2 of the imperatives done, and a bit of a thing on kind of getting our shipping fixed here. I kind of want to wait for this to go to kind of just show it. Waiting for the storage bin to fill. Auto sweeper? Why are you being dumb? Not sure why it stopped there. Well, I don't know why that's not filling to full, but once it's full, go. We would get the notification telling us that our mining rocket's ready, and then from there we would be able to... We know then that we can send our mining rocket. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Like, I don't know why the bin just didn't fill. Weird. Why it's not putting in the last 20 kgs. Strange. I'll have to look into that. But that's kind of the logic. I don't know why that's not working. Or we'll have to do a bit of manual kind of sending our rockets back and forth, but it should solve most of our shipping. For now, we just got to get this backlog of iron. We just have a lot of backlog projects before we tackle, well, we're tackling the last of our imperatives. So the last imperative we really have, in order to say we've kind of finished all the main goals of the game, are cosmic archaeology. So we have to summon 10 terrestrial artifacts and 10 space artifacts. The space artifacts are the main reason we needed to get super coolant, so that we could hit all of the required rockets that we needed. So, is this my spacefarer? I don't get why it changes over the spacefarer. Anyway, so we have our exploration rocket right now. Only have one crew member. But we want to start looking. We know anywhere there's a mug we've definitely been to. But to get... I'll have to... We may have enough. So 1, 2, 3, or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We may have been able to get them all without doing it. We did have enough to get 10. The big thing is we're going to need to land on basically every rocket or planet. And we have enough stuff in here. The system will basically be able to power itself. I'll just rocket. Power. We'll be sending our exploration rocket around to grab all of the space artifacts, and then once we get kind of at least this planet set up, we'll work through landing on the other planets. And that'll be the goal for the next episode. The main thing with the next episode, as I mentioned before, like, we looked at the water planet specifically because it's somewhere you're going to want to go for the space materials, and it is a little different than landing on a lot of the other planets. But next video, we're going to be looking at landing on Thermella to get the last of our artifacts. But be a couple cycles before that there, we want to finish getting Coldolan all set up, so we have all of the iron want, and then we'll look into getting the last for terrestrial artifacts. But that's kind of an overview of setting up some automation. I'll have to look into why this bin is not filling. It's very odd. It's not putting the last 20k in. It's at 19980. I'm told it to fill it again. We'll get a lot of our backlog out, and then we'll start shipping our stuff. But that's kind of the two of the big imperatives. Get a couple more space things, and that'll kind of be the overview of everything you really need for the purpose of completing the game. Be a bit of cycles doing cleanup to set up some things for more kind of end game goals you could be working on. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching.